Welcome everyone to Nashville, Tennessee. We are in Music City, home to the Vanderbilt Commodores. And tonight they host the team that's on the top of the charts, the Tennessee Volunteers. A sea of black and gold with a lot of orange mixed inside. Welcome alongside Jimmy Dykes. I'm Carl Ravitch. We got black, gold, orange, and now we got the whiteboard. Tell us what you got.
Well, number one, Tennessee, they check a lot of boxes. First of all, they're a complete team, a top 25 offensive and defensive efficiency team. They're the total package. Tremendous depth. 6 guys can get you 20 points on any given night. I give them a check on that depth as well. Plus 20 points per game. They are smoking people, Ravi. And dominant teams, powerful teams can do that to you. Tennessee certainly checks that box. The NCAA net tells us they're a top 30 strength of schedule team. They have been tested, and think about this. A freshman never touches the ball. An old team, an experienced team, very similar to our last 3 national champions.
All right, that's the good news for Tennessee. The bad news for Tennessee, the last time they were number 1 was 2008. The first game they played after becoming number 1 was right here against Vanderbilt, and they lost. Rick Barnes very comfortable with the group he has on the floor. An experienced group. The idea that a freshman never touches the ball is foreign in college basketball. Jimmy Dykes, Carl Ravitch alongside. Ready to begin this one, and their first defense and the number 1 role in college basketball. Kyle Alexander jumps center, and he controls the ball. Expect a lot of zone tonight from Vanderbilt. First play, Grant Williams inside, 2-0 Tennessee.
And expect a lot of paint touches by Tennessee regardless of the defense that Vanderbilt throws out. That is who they are. You ask that locker room, who are we as a basketball team? All 15 guys will say the same thing.
Saban Lee, he beat his man, Kyle Alexander, there for one of the top block teams in the country, Tennessee.
He's so good at owning the paint on both ends of the floor. They give you nothing on the defensive end around the rim, and they constantly pound you from the 6-foot mark and in.
Vanderbilt had a lot of success playing a zone against Kentucky. Kentucky didn't make a lot of shots. So far, Tennessee is 2 for 2 as Jordan Bone knocks down a 3. Vanderbilt, the starting 5, Jimmy Dykes. The big story is the idea that Darius Garland got hurt. He played 5 games, and he announced yesterday he was leaving the program to focus on getting himself and his left knee right for the NBA draft. That's a huge story for Vanderbilt.
He was most likely a program-changing point guard that Bryce Drew was going to have for 1 year, and instead he had him for 4 games and a few minutes of another one, and they have not recovered offensively since the injury to Garland.
Alexander's got 2 blocks. Tennessee's 2 of 2. They lead at 5-zip.
He goes and gets it, doesn't he?
Sure does.
He gets out of area rebounds, out of area blocks, out of area loose balls. This Tennessee team is a second and third effort team in so many ways.
Schofield, long distance. That one is way off. It's an air ball. He'll hear it here. For the Volunteers, they've won 12 games in a row. Second time they've been number 1 in school history. 2008, of course, was the last time. Their average margin of victory in SEC games is over 20 points.
That's that power dominance that top-ranked teams have the ability to do. They can knock you out in a 9-10-0 run as good as anyone in the country.
Jimmy Shittu having a phenomenal freshman season. He wears number 11 for Vanderbilt. Guarded by Williams. Takes him to the rack, and we're going to get a travel call. So a couple of blocks and their first turnover. That's Vanderbilt's offense in the first 3 minutes for Bryce Drew. And he's kind enough to be wired up for us tonight, so we'll get a chance to see how he coaches this very young team.
And I was with him yesterday in practice and today, and I counted. I lost track after 25 times the times that he talked about it's our paint. It's our paint tonight. We have to keep it out of there, and we must get it in there on the offensive end. So far, it has not been our paint. It has been Tennessee's paint.
Williams misses. Offensive rebound to Alexander.
Ravi, again, how he goes and gets the ball. It's a loose ball above the rim. And Kyle Alexander with that long wingspan and quick feet, tremendous.
Good pass down low. Alexander, easy layup. Nice look from Jordan Bone. The assist to turnover ratio, part of your offensive efficiency. They're amongst the best in the country.
Yeah, number 2, I believe, overall in assists per game. Number 1 in assist to turnover. They feed the post off the bounce better than anyone in college ball.
Another turnover. Schofield gets fouled as he was going up for a big dunk.
Talk about out-of-area plays that Tennessee time and time again makes, and it's out-of-area rebounds, out-of-area loose balls. Look at Kyle Alexander at 6'11", goes about 7 or 8 feet to keep the ball alive, and that's what I'm talking about. They bounce pass and feed to the low block, to the short corner better than anyone else in the college game right now.
Schofield first free throw is good. The challenge for Alexander this season was to be more aggressive. That's what they wanted to see out of him. There's about 33 NBA scouts here tonight, and Alexander may be at the top of the list of the players they're here to see.
I think you're right, because he is a sprinter speed guy from rim to rim. He can set ball screens at that next level and dive out of them, and he is a phenomenal defensive player.
Vanderbilt on the board. Good take by Sabin Lee, the sophomore guard out of Phoenix, Arizona.
He needs to have a big game. He has go-by speed that you have to have against Tennessee.
You know where the go-by speed comes from?
Where?
His dad, Amp Lee, used to play
pretty good
running back for FSU and, of course, the NFL. There's Williams, and he gets hit down low. He'll go to the free throw line. It's been interesting. We've watched the two coaches early on as Shit 2 picks up his first foul. Rick Barnes really hasn't gotten out of his chair yet, and Bryce Drew has been pacing the sideline. Of course, Vanderbilt and this Memorial Gymnasium, you have the teams on both baselines. And obviously this floor is raised, which you'll be able to get a look at as you look at the fans in the distance. They start with, let's say, a 4-foot drop-off. I mean, they're standing there, and it's up to their waist. So the teams are at the baselines. The coaches, after years of having to be confined to the baseline, able to go up and down the sideline.
You know, it's interesting. Before I was a head coach in this building, came in here twice. We lost on last-second shots, by the way, both times. I wasn't aware of the fact that you have to not overcoach your team, because they are literally, Ravi, especially on the offensive end in the second half, right there in front of you. And if you're not careful, Rick Barnes and I talked about that today, you can get into a habit of coaching every pass. Don't want to do it.
Retzel had it. How about the third turnover now for Vanderbilt? Can't start that way against this team from Tennessee. Only 2 points, and we're 4 minutes in. Every time Schofield touches it, they start the air ball chant.
Well, he's an over 40% three-point shooter, so I think he's got a pretty good stroke if he has to. Look at this kid.
Jordan Bone's outside shooting has improved dramatically. His overall shooting has improved. His three-point numbers may be down, but they love when Jordan Bone now has the ball in his hands with his either shooting or passing.
Absolutely. He's right at 30% on the year. He's one of the guys in the starting lineup that Vanderbilt to start the game is not going to go heels to the three-point line. They're going to stay shrunk inside. That may change after his first 2 makes.
13-2. Shoot 2 in the corner. Neesmith. That's short. Williams goes up and grabs it. And just what you'd expect from Tennessee in this game. Efficiency. Williams gets it in the paint, spins and fades, and that drops. They're on fire early, up 15-2. And it sounds like a home game for the Volunteers. Listen as we go to break. The Vols up 13.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Zaxby's, chicken fingers, buffalo wings, salads. Find a location at zaxbys.com.
Fast start, Tennessee. Let's now take a look at how Admiral Schofield puts in a lead effort to win college basketball's highest individual honor in our Wendy's Wooden Watch.
The thing that sets me apart from other players is my mindset. It's not about scoring. It's not about, going out and making the highlight plays. For me, it's just about winning. And for me, I go out and affect the game in different ways. It's about rebounding, defending, and leading at a high level. And when my name is called, scoring the ball at a high level. My name is Admiral Schofield. I'm from the University of Tennessee, and that's why I'm Wooden Award worthy.
Well, Bryce Drew is very familiar with Admiral Schofield. Bryce told me yesterday that when he was the head coach at Valparaiso, that Admiral Schofield was there for kind of an unofficial visit and offered him a scholarship. And he said about 3 months later, we went to an AAU tournament to watch him play, and we walked in, we knew we had no shot.
He was gone.
Because of all the other big schools that were there watching AD.
Fulkerson nearly stepped in front, nearly another turnover. And she too battling for it. They got a man wide open underneath, and that'll help. Neesmith for the flush to make it 15-4.
Well, Vanderbilt struggling, though, to run any type of offensive rhythm in the half court.
Lamonte Turner on the floor now. He gets it low to Fulkerson, the cutting Alexander, and he's going to get fouled. So a huge weekend of college basketball. Number 9 Kansas takes on number 8 Kentucky. That's at Rupp in the 6th annual SEC Big 12 Challenge. It's also a Sonic blockbuster. Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN and the ESPN app. The Big 12 Challenge SEC presented by Continental. As Schofield misses, Alexander has it blocked. Kansas, by the way, has won the last 3 and 6 of the last 9 against Kentucky under Bill Self. And what a gauntlet Kentucky has managed to go through. Wiped out Mississippi State last night. They got a huge win at Auburn on the road, and if they can go the triumvirate and take care of Kansas, they could be back in the top 5.
Yeah, I watched that game last night with you and Dick Vitale and Laura, and to me, Tyler Hero is the impact guy for them going forward.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure what I'm going to get for those other guys. Hero, though, is a difference maker, so much more than a jump shooter. Active, you got to chase him. And a gambler defensive like Hagen's right now.
they decide to double Alexander, and it leads to a turnover.
Bryce has tried to change the game with man-to-man defense and got a couple of stops early.
And you also see the impact that a guy like Alexander has. Lee had what appeared to be a left-handed layup, and instead, thinking maybe about Alexander, then went for a much more difficult reverse.
Yeah, he just does so many things, Alexander does, and his speed is really terrific for a 6'11 kid. He's got guard speed. I've watched him run line drills in practice, and he's right there step for step with Bone, Bowden, Turner. Long, lanky dude that covers a lot of ground.
So Toy into the game. He wears number 2. Another tough shot, and again, that Tennessee interior defense making it real difficult for the Commodores. Williams will shoot the 3. That one looked a little long and strong, and it rattles in and out.
There's no offense being ran, and we're down to 14 on the shot clock. That pressure, the ball pressure of Tennessee, really pushing out Vanderbilt.
They start to play with now 7 on the shot clock. 3-pointer. Saban Lee, and all of a sudden now it's back to an 8-point ball game. We'll hear what Bryce Drew had to say to his players in a moment to try to keep their heads up after that 15-2 start.
Tennessee got caught in a 1-4 switch, and Williams had to back off of the point guard Lee and gave him just enough vision of the room to drain the 3 at the rim.
Turner goes with his left hand. That misses. Good box out. Shoot 2 again. This time the reverse pays off. A foul on Grant Williams and a chance for a 3-point play.
Right, this kid's really skilled. Chateau at 6'10". He's a downhill driving big, which is a hard match sometimes. And you saw his ability to change hands around the rim. One of the question marks I had coming in, could he play through the contact that Tennessee's going to put on him in this ball game? So far, he's answered yes.
Simi Shittu along with Darius Garland, and you got a real feel with Aaron Neesmith why there was so much hope for this Vanderbilt team. Those 3 freshmen making impacts. The foul there. So Bryce Drew really had what appeared to be a good package. He lost Garland. Now it's on him to make sure these guys stay focused.
Guys, this game has a long way to go. All right, a long way to go.
Gotta pick it up, though.
It was a good drive, good pass to me. It was good to be there. It was a good drive, good shot, okay?
Try to put us in the shoes of Bryce Drew here. In a game like this, let alone the season, just to focus on the game.
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, he knows his guys have lost, 5 in a row.
Yep.
So their confidence right now within this game is huge, and he's the one guy, the one voice that can kind of give them not fake confidence, but kind of false confidence until they play their way into real confidence. He changed his defense when he called timeout and got Vanderbilt a little bit of momentum in the ballgame.
Tennessee's got a 15-9 lead. This basketball is not just get it and shoot it. That's what the players look at just before they hit the floor. We'll explain the black on whiteboard after this.
About 30 minutes before tip, coaches will put a full scouting report on the board and go through it. The personnel is listed, 3 or 4 key items on each player. Then you go into the different sets that you're going to be up against tonight, making sure you're familiar with those. Out-of-bound underplays, side out-of-bound plays, keys to the game. What does the opposing team do defensively in a nutshell, offensively in a nutshell? Then you go through your plan for the game. What are we going to do to win this game? And you make it very obviously to your players. We do these 3 things, we're going to win. The last thing, matchups. Who's got 2, 35, 5, 2, and 11 Tennessee starters? Very important. Thorough scouting report. Not easy to beat Tennessee, though.
No, not easy to beat Tennessee. Not easy to remember anything that is on that whiteboard. Seriously, what's the retention by the players when it comes to all that information?
Well, first of all, coaches have probably gone through a very similar scouting report like that. That's probably the 3rd time they will have seen it. And an older team like Rick Barnes has on the left, it should be about a 75, 80% retention. And maybe a younger team like Kentucky, maybe Cal's not at that level right now, but it took me interesting, Ravi. I have not handwritten a full scouting report on a board in probably 25 years since I was back coaching at Kentucky and Oklahoma State with Eddie Sutton. When I was a head coach, the assistants do it. It takes time to write that thing down, like 25, 30 minutes, and you go through it in depth. Now, this is generic stuff. I didn't share any secrets about Tennessee. I kind of just made stuff up just to give folks an idea of how thorough teams are these days. And they go through it about 30 minutes before tip and say, this is the last time, any questions. And it's interesting. You don't assign guys that you got Schofield, you got Bone, you got Bowden. You go by numbers,
right,
because you have so many names flying at you during the course of the year. It's always about matchups of numbers.
So the coaches from the SEC that just watch that, they don't need to freeze it, take a picture of it, and then scour it for any good secrets. Nothing there.
I wrote the obvious.
There's no code there.
I wrote the obvious stuff. I'm telling you. There's no secrets at all there.
No insights, nothing.
No. Nope.
Offensive foul called on Toy. Tennessee started on fire 5-7, then they quickly went 0 for 3 after these 2 free throws. Their lead is 17-9.
Yeah, I think one of those out-of-bounds plays I drew up had 6 players. So it's a great play. You can pull it off, but it's probably not going to be used.
Get the 6th guy on the court. Sometimes it must feel like Tennessee has 6 guys on the floor.
Yes. You have 6 that can go for 18 or 20 points on you.
Schofield, that is an offensive foul. All right, so we heard Bryce Drew once trying to tell his guys that he liked what he saw. Here's huddle number 2.
We told you, all right, we can make a run. All right, we can make another run right here.
Let's go.
And get it closer. Get stops on defense, keep rebounding. On offense, keep sharing the ball.
Grant Williams picks up his first. Look, the fact that it was 15-2 and now it's 17-9, they have the ball. Those are important parts of a game if you want to keep that message and give it some credibility.
Right, and his message is not X's and O's driven right now. It's encouraging his guys to hang in this game and believe the Memorial Magic could kick in for us tonight.
Matt Ryan, 32 into the game. And now one-on-one, Wetzel and Alexander. Body on body. Good move. And he lays it up and lays it in. Yanni Wetzel, 6'10", out of Auckland, New Zealand.
That move was so important. The shot fake was so important because Yanni Wetzel at 6'10" has really short arms. But he got it off because of the freedom that he created with a good footwork. He's a long kid with short arms. And he gets a lot of shots blocked. But watch him right here. He's going to get a really good defender, Alexander, to bite. And once he gets on the high shoulder and leaves his feet, very well done by one in white.
Nearly midway through the first half here, Vanderbilt Memorial Gymnasium. Sellout crowd. Hasn't been that way the last couple of years. You bring a #1 team from Knoxville down the road here to Nashville. You pack the place. 3-pointer. Bang. Big boost from Matt Ryan off the bench, the junior out of Cortland Manor, New York, Notre Dame transfer.
Tennessee switching right now. They're switching ball screens effectively, but they're not switching those pin downs that Vanderbilt throws at you on the weak side.
A three would tie this game up after trailing 15-2. Lee with Williams on him, blow by. Doesn't get it to go, and a rebound to Alexander. 7-2 run for Vanderbilt as Bone takes it to the big fella. He gets forced to throw it back. Now they move it around with 20 on the shot clock. Schofield, tough shot.
Yeah, he's such a hard driver into pull-ups. A little bit of a ghost screen that time by Alexander. Looked like it was going to be an on-ball screen. He just ghosted it, slipped right on through, and Schofield drives it right off the rear of Alexander. Hard guard.
Fresh bodies coming in for Vanderbilt. Three of them line up in front of us. Jordan Bowden gets set to come in for the Vols.
And you mean in front of us? They are in front of us.
Ryan got hit as he fired up that three, so he will shoot 3 free throws. I'll remind everybody, our women's Thursday night showcase, #1 Notre Dame, right here in Knoxville to take on the Lady Vols. I should say in Knoxville, 7 p.m. Eastern time, the ESPN app. You can watch anywhere. Tennessee's really struggling. They've lost, I think, a half dozen in a row. And last year, the Irish had their greatest comeback in school history. They were down 23 points in South Bend. They came back and beat the Lady Vols.
Tennessee Lady Vols may be flirting with not being in the NCAA tournament.
Hard to
Think about it, yes.
81% free throw shooter, misses the first of 3. Rick Barnes and Terry Oglesby talking things over on the sideline. Shift 2, Smith, Evans all back into the game. Bowden back in for Tennessee.
Bryce Drew has a 1-2-2 press just to kind of choke the game down, slow it down. Chooses not to use it this time, and the zone defense did not work, and Bryce now, his man-to-man defense has gotten him back in this game.
Jordan Bowden pull up in the lane.
The best 6 man in college basketball right now. One of the best guards, period, but certainly the best 6 man off the bench in terms of 19 points a game in conference play.
Going to get an offensive foul. They call that one against Maxell Evans. That'll be his first. Fouls needed to pile up for Vanderbilt, 7. They did a nice job withstanding that first burst. Down 15-2, now back to 21-16. And it doesn't get any easier, obviously, in the SEC. Kentucky next week will be here. Bowden misses the 3. Look at Alexander's active on the offensive board. He can't come up with it, and they get a 5-on-4. Maxwell Evans out of Houston, Texas. Ryan had nowhere to go, and he lost it. Then they got a run out to Bowden, and he will lay it in off the window. A little fast break off the turnover.
Terrific defense by Tennessee. Vanderbilt went to their elbow series, and Tennessee knows off their elbow series, they like the dribble handoff and the turn of the basketball towards the rim. Tennessee sitting on that white line, just shoot it up.
Vanderbilt 0-5 in the conference to start. They've been in a bunch of games. Good move on the back door and a good cut. And that one goes in from Aaron Neesmith. Keeps him within 5.
Neesmith is a real building block for Bryce Drew as a freshman. He's a muscled up kid with a really good stroke, kind of a unique part of his game.
We'll take a timeout here. Vandy, worst in school history to start SEC play. Oh, what a win over the #1 team in the land would do for them. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Yeah. Thank you, boys, very much. Good to hear Farney and Dallin in the studio. Solo, unsupervised, risky. Tennessee at 5-0. LSU, the schedule suggests they could start out here, what, 6, 7, 8-0?
Yeah, 8-0 if you look at it. But they have a loaded front line. Kentucky playing like one of the top 5 or 6 teams in college ball. And how about Chris Silva last night going for 32 and 14 against Auburn? Yeah, I don't think South Carolina's going to go away anytime soon. But
Ole Miss got beaten pretty badly on the road last night by Alabama. Alabama's proven themselves in games even they've lost. I'm not sure that I go with the good loss, but they've been in some really good games that they've ended up losing against really good teams. We'll get an offensive goaltend on Yves Pons.
Yeah, Petty was good again last night off the bench. I mean, I had the game Alabama at Tennessee Saturday, and
tough game for Tennessee.
Yes, they put a lot of pressure on Tennessee, especially in that second half. You go back and watch Tennessee's films. 2 out of their last 3 halves of basketball, they've not played great, especially on the defensive end. They have struggled guarding the bounce.
The different styles of the SEC, some deliberate, others like to get up and go. Auburn shoots, 53s a game, it feels like. Other teams do the same. Tennessee's not as proficient or prolific as a 3-point shooting team. Neither is Kentucky. Good hands and near steal for Shitu in the back court. But Tennessee maintains control. Bone to the rack, and he can do that as well as anybody in the country. Puts the brakes on and knocks down that jumper.
Brakes is very important in basketball. His ability to stop going full speed is so hard to guard. And not a lot of guys have great breaks in college. And his ability to stop and elevate, very impressive.
Second 3, and that one looked really good. The release from Matt Ryan. He's banged 2 of those.
You can't let Ryan get loose. That's what he does. If he's not making shots, he's not doing anything else for Vanderbilt, and you can't let him see the ball go in.
Schofield in and out. Williams on the ground will get a foul on Vanderbilt.
This is Wildcat Pride.
Hold up, let me get up in it now. I'm here to win it now.
But Kansas fears no cats. Lexington is ready for a battle of the Blue Bloods. Number 9, Kansas. Number 8, Kentucky. Saturday at 6 on ESPN.
What a game that's going to be. The way the Wildcats are playing, watching them last night, their bench is getting lengthened. EJ played a terrific game last night. PJ Washington continues to look more and more like a mid to late first-round draft pick. And the way the game started last night, Keldon Johnson was on fire, and then he sort of disappeared as far as the points go. Hagens was very good, but didn't put up big points. And I'll let John Calipari and other coaches say, I don't want to hear about number of points. It's not about the individual statistics, it's about the team. And last night, Kentucky looked that way.
Yeah, here's the difference in that ball game for me. Dedrick Lawson for Kansas has to be outstanding on the road for Kansas to win. Kentucky doesn't have to have one guy. They don't have one guy that if he doesn't get his 20, we have no shot. That's that depth that you were just talking to. And I know what Kentucky's ranked right now, but in my eyes, they have grown to one of the top 5 or 6 teams in all of college ball.
It's amazing. Every coach you speak to, everybody that covers college basketball, especially in this conference, they kind of marvel at what Calipari does every year. And this year, it's almost a little early. Usually those teams in February look like they're gelling. Here we are still in January, and it really looks like they're coming together at a quicker pace than usual.
You can make the argument that John Calipari should be in the National Coach of the Year conversation. When you consider the beatdown that they took on opening night and where he has taken his team from that point forward. Now, that just didn't happen. They've got talent. They're young guys, but he held that thing together and figured it out. And, boy, they have just barged their way back into the party in terms of that top 10 teams we have our eyes on.
Bring Nick Richards off the bench, played some productive minutes last night. It's interesting. Coach Cal with all those 5 stars, and you got him as a potential coach of the year. I like it.
Well, they're so young, though.
Yeah.
Just think about it. It's how difficult that is, his ability to stop again and pop. He explodes into his jump shot. He's 6'3", Ravi. But they explode into their jump shot. They're shooting about 58%, Tennessee is, from the 2-point part of the floor as a team. All of them shoot unblockable shots.
Jordan Bowen at the double figures. He's got 10 points. They're going to get another offensive foul. And that one is on Shitu. 7th foul for Vanderbilt. And the crowd here wearing black and gold, not happy.
Shitu leads Vanderbilt in field goal attempts, minutes played. He's a guy that Bryce wants to keep on the floor. Vanderbilt has gotten himself back in this game though by moving that ball side to side and not trying to attack the first side off the bounce.
Williams, such a coach on the floor. He was waiting for Turner to come over and set a screen for him. Now he's got the ball one-on-one with Wenzel, and he will just elevate and shoot, come up short. Schofield's slow start tonight, and Williams' slow start tonight.
Now, if you're Vandy, get the ball side to side to go back to their elbow series. Watch the dribble handoff, and they back cut the dribble handoff, and the second guy gets it.
Lee, good pass, center flush.
Well, really well done. Really well done. The second guy was the dribble handoff option that time, and after the handoff, the hard rim run. Very difficult play to defend.
Saban Lee was the guy that had the assist. Ball on the floor. We got bodies down there. Bowden is able to kick it to Bone, who checks to see his feet are still in bounds. Good energy, good effort from Vanderbilt after being down 15-2.
I go back to those wired segments that we've heard from Bryce Drew, just continuing to talk his team into hanging this game.
How about Lamonte Turner? Wow. He can do that. As the shot clock expired, he hits a dagger 3.
They don't feel shot clock pressure, talking about Tennessee. It's another sign of an old, experienced team. Very difficult to get them rattled within the game.
Lee quick off the bounce with that dribble. They got a mismatch down low, and they found the right guy. Good pass as they took advantage of it. Simi Shitu.
Tennessee continues to switch right now, 1 through 5, and Shitu did a good job of getting Turner on the high hip.
That's a tough shot. His bone was fading away from the basket. Within 6, under 3.5 to go. First half.
I would go back to the elbow series right now. They've got 2 baskets out of the last 4 times they've ran it. There's the elbow touch. Nice look.
Great fake. And 1. Crowd feeling it. Players are feeling it. It's the closest they've been since it was 5-0 at the 19-11 mark. Keep it going, Vandy.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
All right, let's think about that. What does that have to do with the top 6? Is this the first time they've had 6 in the top 25 since 03?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, I don't think Barry Bonds gets into the Hall of Fame until the Hall of Fame voters turn over or they change as far as the makeup of the voter. I don't think that the movement for Bonds or Clemens has been enough that they would eventually get in. The deserve is a different part of that question. There's a lot of people who think his play on the field in what they believe prior to the alleged steroid use would be enough to get him in. I don't have a vote, unfortunately. If I had a vote, I would vote Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame. American League MVP Mookie Betts rumored to be in the house. We got the 2018 MVP, and he will join Jimmy Dykes in the second half if we can reel him in, JD.
What do? You switching defense. Turner's going to switch, but so you back cut the switch, and that's what Vanderbilt has done a couple of times. And Lamonte Turner was calling out the switch too soon, lost contact with his guy, and Vanderbilt now is lifting their offense. Bryce Drew has kind of stolen some things from actually Kevin Stallings' offense back in the past back in the years, and that high lifted offense with those bigs is very difficult to defend, especially if you have a passing big and a shooting big like he has with Ryan.
So when we talked with Bryce Drew, I'm getting the foul here early. When we talked with Bryce Drew earlier, he talked about all the 5 games that he played, and he literally went down the list of how they were in the games, led the games, had a chance to lead, and then missed a shot. So instead of being tied, they ended up being down 5. At what point do you buy into that? And then the other question inside of that is, at what point you say you're 0-5?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, that's a guy that knows what the record is, but I mean, he's got a young team that completely, the wind was taken out of their sails with a gut punch when Garland went down with a meniscus tear. So he's had to just rebuild his team on the fly, rebuild their confidence, and he's going to be very pleased with this first half. The score, the pace, he knows he doesn't want to get the game into the 70s, and right now he has this thing choked down with a young team against the #1 team in the country.
There's the youth. And think about Garland, who played 5 games with that meniscus injury. He had scoring games of 33, 24, 19. And he is still projected on the mock draft on ESPN to be a top 10 pick. That's how good he is. Tough pass, turnover. Chance for the first lead for Vanderbilt. All the way to the rack, and they got a lead. That's Aaron Neesmith having a good first half. They've kept the black and gold crowd into it. Lamonte Turner, high arcing 3, buries another one.
Boy, such a weapon, isn't he, off the bench? 6th man of the year last year in this league. Missed a good portion of non-conference play, but has the ability to make dagger 3s on the road.
8 quick points.
Well, that is a spread open post offense by Vanderbilt. Lifting that thing high, they're getting slips out of it, getting some driving angles out of it.
5 on the shot clock. Fade away, Neesmith. No good, and Schofield will run it down.
Well, Turner wants to go. Tennessee's a running team. They want the ball to the elbow within the first 4 or 5 seconds of the possession.
Again, that one is off to the left, and an air ball, and it'll go out of bounds. Lamonte Turner. All right, take 3 for Bryce Drew. His team is down 2.
Good job. On it. Get on it. Get on it. Get on it. Get on it. Saban. Good. Good hustle. Good hustle.
Full-time coach, full-time cheerleader on the side of this one tonight. And what a job. They were down 15-2 if you're just joining us, and now down just 2 points with a minute to go in the first half. Shittu got away with the walk, and it's a Euro step, and we are tied at 35.
His ability to play through contact, probably the best half at basketball he's had in that area.
Contested shot.
Good
Oh,
gracious.
man. Bowden, I should say.
Their ability to make guarded shots because of their size and their high release point from all of them.
Between Shittu, Lee, and I think Matt Ryan really sparked this team back in the first half.
Go right back to their elbow series and shoot another layup off of it.
Neesmith lays it in. And a timeout called by Tennessee and Rick Barnes. 30-second break with 21.7 on the clock in the first half. Good one here at Vandy.
Well, Vanderbilt on the offensive end, they continue to lift their offense. So what it does, when you do throw the ball to the box, it allows you to go one-on-one with no help defense digging down. But the elbow touch has been critical to Vanderbilt in this first half. They've had dribble handoff action off of it. They've got the backdoor cut from the corner to the rim off that elbow touch. It's been now 8 possessions in a row of elbow series from Bryce Drew. He has found something that's working against Tennessee's defense. Spreading Tennessee out, moving their bigs away from the rim, letting their elbow guy be the passer and the playmaker in the half-court offense.
Where's your last shot coming on this team?
The last shot right now for Tennessee, well, that's the great thing about Tennessee. You got a lot of weapons. Schofield in a ball screen is always a good option. Kyle Alexander with a bone sprint as well. Shot over the rim.
Shot it over the backboard. And he does it with about 5 seconds left. Vandy will have a chance here to grab the lead going into the half.
A critical mistake by an experienced point guard, going way too early.
Neesmith, and that's going to be a carry. They'll give it back to Tennessee. with 3 seconds on the clock.
Now a young mistake by Neesmith trying to dribble in traffic. And you have to know if you're Vanderbilt right now with 3 seconds to go and a side out of bounds on the other side of half court, what the tendencies are. Schofield coming to the ball is one tendency. Kyle Alexander or Bone getting it on the move. There he goes.
He'll stop and pop. Bowden that did not get off in time. What a half for Vanderbilt. They were down 13 at one point, 15-2. But they end the half on a 13-6 run. They trail by just 1. Good job by Bryce Drew to keep his team involved. 2003 MVPs, Bonds and Alex Rodriguez. Interesting questions. Our MVPs in the studio tonight, Cuff, Farnham. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. We are at Memorial Gymnasium, the campus of Vanderbilt University. And what a game we have. A 1-point game, 38-37, alongside Jimmy Dykes. I'm Carl Ravitch. This is a team, Tennessee, that is basically the best in the conference and one of the best in the country when it comes to field goal percentage defense. They don't allow teams to shoot a high percentage. They were down 15-2 Vanderbilt. They shoot 56%, get themselves right back in it.
I think Bryce has done an unbelievable job in the first half to continue to feed his guys confidence. And what has it done? It's allowed them to knock down shots and get out and get going on offense. They've moved the ball really well, Vanderbilt has. They have 8 assists on 14 makes. And remember in the first half, Rob, we talked about Bryce Drew saying, it's our paint tonight. It's our paint. Well, so far, it's plus 8 points for Vanderbilt in the paint. Expect Tennessee to come out in the second half and try to reestablish that part of the floor.
All right, back to the action on the floor. And Vanderbilt will be going left to right on our screen. Tennessee, the new number 1 in college basketball. Last time they were number 1 was 08, their first game after Bruce Pearl's team was anointed the number 1 spot. They lost a game to Vanderbilt. Will history repeat itself here 11 years later? Shittu all the way to the rack, and he missed a layup. And we're going to get a foul underneath. He's frustrated. And that'll be Vanderbilt foul. Number 1, half number 2.
Ravi again, another offensive play to start the second half by Vanderbilt off of an elbow touch. Shittu spun, got to his left paw, got all the way to the rim, just missed it. And Tennessee's going to have to make some type of change or an adjustment on that elbow offense that Vanderbilt just really cut them up with in that first half.
Looks like Admiral Schofield may have gotten hit somewhere in the eyes, nose.
He got popped across the nose right there at the end of the play. Elbow by Yanni Wetzel.
Wide open Alexander, easy layup as he was left wide open on the double of Williams.
Grant Williams passes right through double teams, not so much over the top. Those big shoulders create space, and he throws right through hard, tight double teams.
Wetzel wanted to shoot that before he had control of it. Then he goes baseline. Met at the rim. No foul called. Bryce Drew's got his hands up, wondering why not. Yves Pons three-pointer, baseline, in and out. Bryce Drew working both Terry Oglesby and Terry Weimer. Jump shot no good. Cold start for Vandy. Get Pons hustle down. And a turnover. And Shittu one-on-one. A little ragged here to start the second half. Trapped underneath and a heads-up play as Lee throws it off Kyle Alexander.
Watch Grant Williams throw through the double team because it's a pretty hard, tight double team with conviction. Shittu doesn't come over quite tight enough. And if you don't come with conviction in your double team on Williams, you will get dunked on at the rim because he averages 4 assists a ball game.
Matthew Moyer out and Matt Ryan in. Ryan has the ball now. He was 2 of 2 from three-point land in the first half. Access denied. Big block. Another one from Kyle Alexander.
Boy, he reads it well, doesn't he? He sees the play ahead like a point guard on offense. Watch him come. That's a That's an out-of-area block of the ball from about 8 feet away.
You're going to start shooting down that low. It's a pretty good chance he's going to block it. A turnover on nearly a 5-second call and a big mistake again for Vanderbilt. Good pass, Alexander with a flush. How about the patience of Jordan Bone? And a quick timeout from Bryce Drew.
Tennessee knows who they are, Ravi. And to start the second half, I guarantee you in that locker room at halftime, Rick Barnes said, "Who are we? Coach, we are a pound the paint, own the paint team." And to start this second half, that's exactly what they've done.
Mistake off the inbounds, and it led to Bone and his patience. He thought about a shot, then he waited for the big fella to get open down low for the dunk. Good start to the second half for the #1 team in the country.
Are you ready for the SEC Big 12 Challenge? 20 teams, 10 games, 1 day. Because you don't argue which conference is best, you settle it on the court. Oh my!
Should be another great matchup this Saturday, the 6th annual SEC Big 12 Challenge. It's presented by Continental. 10 matchups on the day. 9 hours of coverage, starting with College Game Day, covered by State Farm at 11 a.m. on ESPN. They will be at Rupp Arena. That's the headliner, the Blue Bloods, as Kansas takes on Kentucky, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Last year, the SEC a victor 6-4 in that matchup.
Best defensive team I've seen the last couple of weeks, Kansas State. They are healthy, and they are a serious challenge, I think, to Kansas in that Big 12. They had a huge win last night against Texas Tech.
Boy, Matt Ryan continues to be hot from the outside. They give him 2 on that one. And Ryan shooting hot. He's 3 for 3 in the game. Well, Bunny from Grant Williams, he's now in the double digits with 10.
Well, the deep post up, out of transition by Grant Williams. Runs right in front of the rim, spreads out low and loaded. And it is over at that point.
Pon's a terrific on-ball defender, number 35. Maybe the most athletic player on this Tennessee team.
He took an elbow from Neesmith right in front of the official, didn't get called.
Who had a chance, he laid it up, came up short, then he picks up the frustration foul.
Ravi, how do you guard this? Talking about Grant Williams. When he sticks his head below the rim, all he's waiting for is, what's my defender now going to do? And then he quickly steps in front and seals you off and spreads out. He's a very wide post play, and he understands the low man wins on that box, and 2 in orange at that part of the floor is a handful.
How's Grant Williams, in your opinion, project at the next level?
A winner. I think he's a winning player on a winning team that embraces the same type of culture that he's been brought up in under Rick Barnes, with a work ethic. He's not going to be an NBA superstar. He's not going to be an NBA all-star, but he's a winning player on a team with a couple of all-star type guys. And he will embrace that role and do it for about 10 or 12 years.
Rare miss for Jordan Bone. Shit 2, another one of those Euro steps, and he had no chance. Into too much traffic. No foul called, another block.
You're right. That shot's got no chance. Not against Tennessee. There's too much contact, too much length, too much aggressiveness to try to have a power drive with a finesse finish. And that young kid's got to learn, if he has any aspirations of moving on to the NBA, how to get grown man finishes in traffic through contact. He'll learn. He's got a lot of skills.
John Fulkerson comes into the game. Grant Williams comes out for a few minutes. Lee, he had it picked. They're going to get a foul on Alexander.
Why would Alexander reach in and foul? They had they covered up the curl and the dribble handoff, and then Kyle Alexander gets switched on a guard and reaches in. And his main responsibility is just to get down and get low and kind of level off that guard, feather him off across that free throw line. He reaches in and makes the mistake.
First foul of the game on Kyle Alexander. Saban Lee picked up his dribble. Now he gets it back on the handoff. He got bumped. We're going to get foul on the floor. Call that on Jordan Bowden with a hold.
Ravi, Tennessee getting a little bit more aggressive now on denying that elbow touch up top. Rick Barnes trying to push that touch out a little bit higher. Something I'm sure they talked about at the second half of what can we do with this action, and pressuring that catch spot. Very important. Why let him get open, huh?
He's been so great, but he missed that one. Foul on Vanderbilt. They had the play set up. They've struggled getting the ball inbounds, but they had that play set up. And Matt Ryan misses his first three. Neesmith picks up his first foul. In the SEC Big 12 Challenge, Tennessee will get West Virginia. They've been without Sag Konate for a while, and there's some frustration down there in West Virginia as to when he gets back on the floor. They need him.
Yes, he's the best rim protector in college ball to start the season.
Schofield's going to get fouled. He'll go to the free throw line, and he'll shoot a couple.
A power guard that Rick Barnes gets him in the slot, just off that 45-degree angle, and gets big number 5 going downhill. He and Grant Williams are such terrific leaders. We watched Grant Williams today at the shoot-around. He's on the bench right now. When the shoot-around was done, Grant Williams went and stood in front of the ball rack, and he waited for all the balls to be thrown to him, and he put them on the rack. That's something that the managers do, or maybe the student trainer does. Grant Williams went and said, throw me all the balls and let's get them on here. It's just the culture that they have. And I asked Grant, I said, how'd you get that assignment? He said, it's who we are, and he walked off. That's huge. You win with guys like that, correct?
Yeah, most of the teams that win, when your best player is your hardest worker, are willing to do those things.
Yes.
No matter the sport, you tend to have great success on the field and leadership off of it. So for sure.
Yes.
And he's sort of one of the most interesting men, if you use that line, in college basketball.
He's a grown man. You know what, Ravi? You guys who miss the line on running drills, you lose with them. Guys who will not look coaches in the eye, you lose with them. Guys who wear headphones all the time and don't talk to other people, you lose with them. Tennessee has none of those type of guys. That's why they win.
We'll return to Vandy. Looking to see if Mookie Betts, the MVP, will join us. Timeout on the floor here. Tennessee leading Vanderbilt 45-39. It was a one-point game at the half. As we went to break, whistle sounded. Double technical. Watch the upper part of your screen. Schofield and Ryan, 5 and 32, get into it, and they start arguing back and forth. And you can see right there, the official was Terry Oglesby, called a double technical on both players.
Well, there's no back down in Schofield. We know that, and you certainly can't back down against Tennessee if you have any chance of pulling it off, but you don't want to cross the line with your passion and your urgency and how you're playing.
Jimmy Dykes, Carl Ravitch here, 45-39, 15:50 to go in the second half. Number 1 team in the country being pushed by Vandy, 0-5 in the conference. I like the explosiveness of Lee. He pulls up there and buries a 3.
He's made Tennessee pay 3 or 4 times in this game when they started switching 1 through 5. Got to back off of it and give him space, jumping up and knocking down shots.
Into the game and making his first impact, Derek Walker, big body. He comes in as a sophomore at 6'8", 236 out of Kansas City.
Again, Tennessee so good at bounce passing off of the bounce to feed the post. See how they're starting to push that elbow series up a little higher now. Tennessee is on that initial touch.
Little handoff. There's some body action, and we'll get a foul. Remind everybody, SportsCenter follows the Nuggets and Jazz. And after the buzzer with Stan and Neal, the Rockets-Knicks highlights. How about James Harden looking to make it 21 straight 30-point games? Wrap your head around that. Raptors' tough week continues there in Indiana. Look at the game here. The new number 1 Tennessee Volunteers trying to avenge their first ever game as the number 1 team, which they lost to Vanderbilt back in 08. SportsCenter tonight, 1 a.m. Eastern Time, ESPN and the ESPN app.
21 straight 30-point games against the best that we have in basketball. His jab series, he gets you leaning one way, comes back the other. Is tremendous to watch what Harden's doing right now in that league.
Haven't figured out how his shot doesn't get contested or blocked more often.
It doesn't. No, you're right.
I haven't figured out because he does his step back. I understand how he creates space, but nobody ever blocks his shot.
No.
Rocket story tonight on SportsCenter. after the NBA. More frustration, you can see it on the face of Grant Williams, who picks up his second foul. And the Vols fans in here get a look at the replay on the big screen, and they express their displeasure. Toy, the dump off, we're going to get a block on the floor on Fulkerson.
Fulkerson was outside the restricted area. I just don't think he ever got his body squared up and set as a defender.
Bryce Drew, it's almost like an outfielder in Major League Baseball. He's got his little sheet, his little notepad in his hand there. You can see it in his left hand. He just called out a play. You see that on outfielders in Major League Baseball when a batter comes up, where they're going to position themselves. We have one of the great outfielders in Major League Baseball, the American League MVP, Mookie Betts, who's going to join us after the next time out. The Nashville native enjoying the game here tonight. Wanted them to take that initial corner three. Instead, he created a more difficult shot. And the rebound put back up and in. 3-point game.
Chateau has held up well in a high contact game. He's going blow for blow, and he's done a nice job of moving while the ball's in the air.
Grant Williams baseline, and he flushes it.
Ravi, when he leans back and gets his body on your body to feel you, and then the quick spin off, about as good as we have in the college game at that particular move.
Bryce Drew said you'd be able to see Simi Chateau play more tough tonight. And how quickly you got to learn in the SEC that that's the way it's going to be night in and night out.
Yep.
5 on the shot clock. Lee goes reverse. Now the kick three. Got it! Beating the buzzer. Good pass. And Joe Toy knocks it down.
The speed of Saban Lee is a problem. He got all the way to the rim with a hammer pass. A nice job by Vanderbilt to fill that backside three-corner. Tennessee seldom settles for a jump shot in this part of the game.
Big body Williams, he'll get fouled.
I talked about Grant Williams, his ability to spin off of you, and when he catches this ball, he's just going to lean back just right there, and when he feels you, the quickness in his spin is terrific. And there's that hammer pass by Lee to drive it for others. A good job of spotting up by Toy. Saban Lee driving the ball with speed. Bryce Drew has to be pleased with that. The elbow series is working for him right now on the offensive end, keeping game pressure on Tennessee, and that's all he wanted. He told you and I earlier, with 4 minutes to go, can we have game pressure on the Vols? It's tracking there right now.
Sure is. Simi Chateau has to go to the bench. He's got 4 fouls. That's a big story in this game, the way he has played, providing them with some offensive rebounds and 8 points. So he goes to the bench, 4 fouls. Keep an eye on the score. Now 51-47 when he goes out. Also back into the game for Tennessee, Admiral Schofield. What about Admiral Schofield? We've seen games like this where he struggles or Williams struggles, or they both do. He's only 1 of 5 from the floor.
It's a team, Tennessee, shooting 71% in the second half, and they can't shake Vanderbilt.
Alley-oop deflected. Frustration for Drew, but it stays with the Commodores.
It is so hard to throw the lob over Kyle Alexander.
Like a missile defense system. That ball goes up, he goes up with it.
See Tennessee play this zone 4 or 5 possessions a game.
Tough shot for Toy. He's feeling it though. A 3 and now a 2. Back within 2, Vanderbilt.
The ability to stop on the move. We've seen it now 2 or 3 times in this game into an elevated jump shot. Gosh, that big keister is hard to defend, isn't it?
And they are really trying hard to make sure, as you said, the big keister gets the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, he's that's we talked about Tennessee in the open, and one of their check marks is they're an experienced ball club. We've seen them on the ropes a little bit at Florida a couple of weeks ago. Alabama made a run at him in the second half, and when those runs start coming from the other team, what does Tennessee do? They go back to who they are and a heavy dose of touches for number 2 in orange around that box.
You're starting to see the impact, too, of the size, why it's a close game. When you don't have a lot of depth, you don't have some of your best players who are gone for the rest of their careers, and you now have 2 of your better players each with 4 fouls. Wetzel will join Shittu on the bench. That's a big part of this game with 12:22 to go.
Absolutely it is. And just you and I sitting courtside, actually our head on the court level, you can just see the difference in bodies right now between Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
See if they keep trying to feed Joe Toy, the lone senior on this team from Vanderbilt.
It's a high 2-3 lifted zone. Look how high Grant Williams will come up out of 1-4 position. Schofield on the other.
Set up a corner 3. Neesmith, he gets it to go, and if you're making shots, you can stay in it. Just a 1-point game.
You got Schofield lifted from that corner position down low, and well, they did the right thing of finding the hot corner for a right-handed shooter.
Anybody stop and shoot quicker and more effectively than Jordan Bone?
How good are they at the curl action, wrapping screens from that stepped off side ball screen action and off ball curl? Man, are they good at it.
Drive and a kick and a trap. Maybe a walk, but a 3. Neesmith, necessary. How about a tie game with 11:14 to go? Foul on a reach around, unnecessary foul as Bone was going into traffic.
Ravi, I'm not sure 3 hours ago when Vanderbilt's kids walked in this gym, they really believed they could win. I go back to what Bryce Drew, we heard in the Wired in the first half. Believe, stay in the game. It's a long game. The offense has been really good. There's a lot of pressure right now on Tennessee in this building.
All right, Mookie Betts joins us, speaking of champions, when we come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's etiquette, you know,
Right.
bowling etiquette. You can't.
Right. There you go.
I ain't getting this one, boys.
Get on your horse. Don't miss the cutoff.
Start of a magical year. Our friend Mookie Betts during spring training. I ain't getting that one, boys. And now he joins us here. Great to see you.
Yes, sir. Thanks
How
for
you
having
doing,
me.
man? Welcome. This is your house, huh? I mean, you're a Nashville guy.
Yeah, Nashville guy. This isn't my house, dog. My house is gonna be Tennessee. but-
You committed to go to Tennessee, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually signed to go there.
You did.
Yeah.
But things worked out all right.
Things ended up working out.
Things ended up working out.
Ended up working out. So.
How are things going over the winter as a World Series champion? What has Mookie Betts been up to?
Non-stop. A lot of traveling. I'm just trying to take it all in. You know, I had a little girl, so that's,
Congratulations.
thank you. That's
Good
that's
for
been
you.
a whirlwind in itself. So, you know, whatever.
Speaking of how things worked out for you, I heard earlier today, what's your middle name?
Lynn.
So your initials are MLB.
Yeah, my mom said
how's that
she-
worked out for you, MLB?
Hey, my mom says she did it on purpose. I don't believe it, but you know, irony is a real thing.
Well, we be honest with you, and you know sports as well as anybody, that you can go into a game and think maybe it's going to go one way, and all of a sudden you're here watching what would have been your team, Tennessee, and a winless in conference Vanderbilt team, 55-all. You've been here the whole first half?
Yeah, I've been
So
here.
what's your take on this game?
I mean, it's Vanderbilt's hanging around. I mean, they're you know, 1-2 possessions away, and then now they knocked down a couple of threes in the last couple possessions. And Tennessee just hasn't put them away. You know, it's tough to come in here and play. And I've seen teams come in here and kind of not play well. And
Right.
Obviously, the great atmosphere here.
We're seeing it again now. There's a turnover, the drive, the grab by Bone. We're going to get a foul on the floor. Now, I know you as a terrific athlete, obviously an MVP baseball. You're a bowler who bowls how many multiple 300 games?
I don't know.
Jimmy, like
knows?
double-digit 300
How about
bowling
that?
games. And a basketball player through high school, was there ever a time where you thought about this sport versus another one?
I still do.
You still do?
Yeah, I love basketball, so I try and watch it. I got a bunch of friends that play, so put up some shots every now and then. But you know, I definitely basketball is definitely something I enjoy.
Point guard, shooting guard?
Point guard. I was gonna try and play at Tennessee. I signed there.
You were going to be Kenny Lofton. You were going to do both.
Try and do both, you know,
Right.
and let the rest take care of itself. But I did get a chance to.
You talked about atmospheres and how tough it is right now in this building for Tennessee. What about a tough atmosphere in major leagues right now? When you go into another team's park, which one's tough on you?
Ooh. I mean, you got to think New York obviously
Yankees, yeah.
is a tough atmosphere. St. Louis is a tough atmosphere. I mean, I can't even think of all the ones that, you know, you're not gonna really anywhere, you're not going to go anywhere and just think you're going to get a win.
When you're the World Series champion, they all get tough.
Yeah, they all get tough. So that's what
Vanderbilt's
makes
got
it
a
fun.
lead here, 56-55.
Oh, is this their first lead? This first lead of the game?
We've had 2 ties, 3 lead changes. That one's just short. Bowden comes down with it, down on the floor. Goes Admiral Schofield. Major League Baseball is interesting. It used to be a land of the giants. There's great shots with Altuve sitting next to Aaron Judge. You're standing next to him. You're not a giant yourself, and yet you're the MVP. When you look at the size of the guys that are out on this floor right now, is it bigger than when you were playing high school ball? Are they better athletes?
Yeah. When I was in high school, our center was 6'4".
Is that right?
So now 6'4" is a small guard. So just to see these guys be able to fly and do everything they can do at 6'7", 6'8", 7 foot is definitely amazing.
I know you play right field, but if you played left field, what's the key defensively with that green monster behind you? What do you got to be aware of if you're out there?
To be completely honest, I have no idea.
You're never over there?
I don't
you
go
never
on
talk
that
to the left fielder?
I mean, I talk to him, but we don't talk about baseball, so we talk about everything else.
And when you have one of the best left fielders in baseball, they nearly swept the Gold Gloves for the outfield.
They did
this year. You had Mookie, you had Jackie, and Andrew Benintendi was a finalist. They nearly swept for Gold Gloves.
Benny was a basketball player.
Benny was a basketball player at Arkansas. That's right. And that worked out well for him, too, with that choice when it came to baseball.
Here's the one time you hear my name in the same sentence as Andrew Benintendi. Jimmy Dykes and Andrew Benintendi both went to Arkansas.
That's right.
It kind of stops at that point.
That's right.
Hey, at least you got something.
Yeah,
That's all that
exactly.
matters.
For baseball fans who want to know when your clock starts with baseball, you had a little baby girl. Like, how are you preparing, and when does that really start for you, or has it started, weeks or months ago?
Well, we played an extra month this year, so everything kind of got delayed. I really didn't start. I started working out some in December, but it was kind of slow. But I really haven't started doing much until kind of January this year. Usually it's December when I start, but this year was January. I'm trying to rest up. I think the most important thing to do is to kind of rest. Because they say it's that carryover into next year where it seems like guys are still tired. So hopefully our strength guys do a good job in getting us back ready.
That's Joe Madden's big deal. After they won the World Series and NLCS, rest. Rest.
Yeah. So.
You kind of like that. You're good with that.
I'm good with rest.
I can rest. I'm good at the game
You're
of
good
rest.
resting?
I'm good with it.
Look, you're an electrifying baseball player. Give me an athlete from another sport that you really enjoy watching just because of how electrifying they are as an athlete. Anybody come to mind? There's something about James Harden a minute ago going for 30.
James Harden is obviously a great basketball player, but if we're talking about athletes, I got to think like the Westbrook.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody like that.
Hey, if you want to see the next Russell Westbrook, go to Belmont tomorrow night. Murray State's in town. They got a point guard named Ja Morant that I think is going to be in the conversation for a #1 overall pick. That kid is phenomenal.
With Murray State, I watched one game. Yeah, he's the real deal. He's the real deal.
Yes.
Oh, obviously Zion. You're talking about athletes,
right?
Mount Zion.
I want to see him live.
Are you nervous right now with under 9 to go and your team's tied?
Yeah, if I'm Tennessee, I feel like if I'm Vanderbilt, I'm playing with all the confidence in the world. They're getting stops. Tennessee
call this house money.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. And a dunk. That one went down. Matthew Moyer.
I thought he was a point guard. I thought he was a guard when he came in.
With the two big fellas, Shitu on the bench, Wetzel on the bench, they've grabbed the lead.
You have to follow the scouting report, Mookie.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Schofield 3, way off.
Rather, that's not who they are.
No.
They're settling for jump shots on the road, and that's not typically what Tennessee does.
Look at Williams coming back in. He's really good at it.
He sees Grant Williams about 10 feet from us.
Would you get him the ball when he comes in?
For sure. Every time.
That
spin baseline dunk was
offensive.
I didn't see a foul there, but I do see Mookie Betts here. Hey, thank you very much for being with us.
Yes,
Congratulations on the baby girl.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thanks, Mookie. Good to
Enjoy
see
the
you,
rest of the
Thank you,
offseason.
guys.
and we'll see you at spring training.
Yes, sir.
Good luck to your Tennessee Vols. Great game here. A flush over Alexander, as rare as that is. Vanderbilt looks to knock off #1 Tennessee for the second time in 11 years. Welcome back, everybody. What a game. Vanderbilt 0-5 in SEC play, looking for their first conference win against the #1 team in the country, as Tennessee just becomes #1 this week. Vandy's hit 6 of the last 7 field goals. They double Schofield, and he's going to get fouled, and Bryce Drew right in front of us raises his hands. Unnecessary foul. They had him trapped over there, Jimmy.
The double team that time did come with conviction, but you've got to come over with elbows at your ears is how you teach it and reach for the lights. They got on top of Grant a little too much, and again, his ability to throw through double teams. Very important for this Tennessee ball club.
Double bonus and big-time foul trouble for the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Grant Williams is drawing about 8 fouls per 40 minutes. He's a high foulable guy because of his brute strength, his quickness, where they put him on the floor, how they move him around.
Williams knocks them both down. 59-59, 7.5 to play. Wetzel and Chitu, the two best players for Vanderbilt as far as interior play goes, have been on the bench with 4 fouls in the last 4 minutes.
First guy curls, second guy dribble handoff, come back around for the third option.
A lot of contact there with the big body knee Pons, nothing called.
Well, Pons blew it up, didn't he? You'd have no part of that handoff action.
5 on the shot clock. Lee far away from the basket, tries to go by Williams and gets the roll.
They've taken advantage of that switch now 5 or 6 times in this game. They get a 4 or 5 switch set on Saban Lee. His speed takes over.
Son of the former NFL running back Amp Lee showing terrific speed, and how tough is that move from Grant Williams.
Those are grown man baskets. On the road, you're feeling some pressure. Stay with who you are.
Moyer 3, that's way off, and it's going to be Tennessee ball.
Watch Saban Lee, there's the switch. Now it's a 1 to 5 switch right now with Williams playing the 5 spot, or actually the 4 spot, but Saban Lee is driving the switch. Then on the other end, the ball fake, the lift, and the quick spin ability of Grant Williams. Really hard to handle him in the middle part of the floor. Rick Barnes loves Grant Williams in close games down the stretch, handling that rock in the middle third.
So here we are with 6:30 left. He brings Chitu back in with 4 fouls and Wetzel. Right time to do that?
Yes. Yeah, it's you're 0-5 in the league right now. Well, not much tonight from Schofield, have we?
Nope. This is
much
another
at all.
3. Admiral Schofield, 1 of 7 from the floor.
That's just it's double up action. It's high horns, elbow series, hammer pass to the corner 3. Bang.
Saban Lee with a kick and a 3 with a fist pump from Aaron Neesmith. 64-61 Vandy. And a kick.
Yeah, the speed of Saban Lee is in that guy's corner right now. He has the advantage with 0 in white with a basketball. His slippery ability, his speed, and his vision right now to that far corner. A right-handed shooter on the left corner. That's the hot spot right now for Vanderbilt.
Neesmith averages 9 a game. He's got 21. They've got their largest lead at 3, and they continue to struggle from the field.
Not the shot that Tennessee wanted with 24 on the shot clock.
Jordan Bone gets set to come back in for Tennessee. Every trip's a big trip. It'll stay Vanderbilt ball. This one has certainly exceeded expectations. Huge expectations for Kansas and Kentucky. A sonic blockbuster, all part of the SEC Big 12 Challenge, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN and the ESPN app. It's presented by Continental. 6 on the shot clock. Lee's been able to break down that defense. He spins in the lane, and this time it doesn't go. And a A rebound to Tennessee.
Just a high sprint out ball screen, all designed to get the switch again for Saban Lee to attack.
How about that? Wetzel challenged with 4 fouls. No foul called on him. And it'll stay Tennessee basketball. Wetzel goes straight up. Made it hard for Lamonte Turner.
Tennessee has several lob options off their out-of-bounds under package. Normally it's more of a spread court situation for them.
Grant Williams setting up camp down low. They get it to him, and he tries to go to work. And that's going to be the 5th foul on Wetzel. Look at the reaction from Bryce Drew. A huge call with 5:04 to go in the game.
Bryce Drew felt like that Wetzel just threw up a really tall wall, and Grant Williams kind of went through the wall. They're so good at feeding that low post block. And Bryce Drew knows how critical the call that was, and he's given an earful right now to Terry Oglesby.
Take a look at the foul. A lot of referees at home. See what you guys and gals would have called, if anything.
That's not a foul.
No.
I think Wetzel's going straight up, and that's a play on. I didn't see the contact above around the basketball. It's that lean back ability that Williams has to get into your body that really frees him up.
So I asked you with 6:36 was it the time to bring him in. He ends up playing 1 minute and 32 seconds before he fouls out of the game. Shitu stays on the floor, number 11. He's got 4 fouls as well. Williams starting to assert himself. His point total to 24 in the game.
Gosh, number 1 on the road. Very similar to 11 years ago when Tennessee held on to that number 1 ranking for 48 hours and they lost it in this building. Will Memorial magic happen again?
Once again, end of shot clock with 5. Here's Shitu. Spins, great dish. Wow, what a pass, and a foul. He fouled Cleavon Brown, and he laid it in.
Simi Shitu this time gets pushed off the elbow, but then he goes to work. The floor is opened up. The help has a long ways to come to double the basketball on the bounce, and Shitu, not only with great spin ability for a 6'10 kid, but then when he felt the defensive pressure coming, the simple drop-off and a huge play at the rim for Vanderbilt.
Nightmarish game for Admiral Schofield.
Yes.
He goes to the bench with 4 fouls. He's got 4 points. He's 1 of 7 from the floor.
Shot an air ball on his first attempt tonight, and it just has never been in a rhythm in this building at all.
Brown's free throw, he completes the 3-point play. Vanderbilt up by 4, 4:30 to go. Williams spins, he got so high. There's nobody that could have blocked that shot.
No, not at all. The foot fake, the jab series that Williams put on him, just enough of a lean to get his defender leaning to the left, and he comes back right. And the elevation and the release point of his jump shot, like you said, unblockable.
Three-pointer is drained. That's Saban Lee. They're hitting their shots, making their plays down the stretch. Williams the kick, Turner 3, that's no good. Alexander goes up for it. Whose ball is it? It'll stay with Tennessee.
Huge play by Kyle Alexander to keep the ball alive. He's so good at tipping it to himself. Memorial magic. Will it happen again? I was here 11 years ago. It felt a lot like this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Hyundai.
February 26, 2008. Tennessee was number one for about 48 hours. Vanderbilt was ranked 14th in the country. They had some terrific players. Vanderbilt, after Chris Lofton hit a three, missed a free throw with 1.8, and that would be the end of it. The Commodores knocked off number one Bruce Pearl's team after they survived the game on Saturday, got home around 3 a.m., practice on Sunday, rolled into town, and were rolled up by the Commodores. And now the question is it happening again to Tennessee? Against number one teams, 8 and 18 all time. How about of the 26 games, 19 have been against the number one Kentucky team? Alley-oop. Oh, wow! What a play out of the break to Bowden.
We talked about it at the last baseline out of bounds under for Tennessee. They are a lob threat at all times and really from all four spots. Bowden at 6'5" just went up and punched it. He comes from the far side and makes it a foot race. Grant Williams and Kyle Alexander kind of seal off their guys and clear it out. Bam!
What a play out of the break. And it's about a 50-50 split here in Nashville with the folks from Knoxville wearing their orange and the black and gold. Anchored down, boys and girls, with 3:20 to go. Vandy leading 70-67.
Well, Rick Barnes he stole 2 points right there. He won that coming out of timeout. He got Bowden, who's a terrific athlete, in the far corner. And he said, you two bigs, duck in, seal off, and free up space. And a beautiful pass by Jordan Bone right in front of the rim. The timing and the height of the pass was on point, on target. It's a three-point game.
6'3", and one of the last things they do in their shoot-arounds is Bowden will get a ball. He will bounce it on the floor about 5 or 6 feet from the basket, go up and dunk it as the rest of the team jumps up with him. Tonight before the game, when he attempted it, he missed the dunk. He certainly had no problem with that one, the most impressive flush of the night, but this is what happened before the game.
Well, he made the one that counts, right?
He certainly made the one that counts. And now Jimmy with 3:21 to go. Shitu's been terrific with his interior passing. A lot of the Vanderbilt made shots have come with 3 to 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
They have. They've made Tennessee work tonight defensively. No reason to change your offense if you're Bryce Drew. Stay with your double-up elbow series. You're making good plays off of that. You have dribble handoff actions. You got the spin move of Shitu driving the basket. And the speed of Saban Lee continues to be a big storyline in this game. He's taking the ball, Ravi, anywhere he wants to take it right now against that Tennessee defense, and he's making good decisions at the rim instead of forcing shots.
Vanderbilt 1 timeout left. Tennessee has got 3, and the possession arrow is to Tennessee. Here we go again with 7 on the shot clock. And Shitu has the ball picked up. 4 on the shot clock. Contested baseline. Jumper goes! Matt Ryan stays hot.
It's a guy you want shooting off the bounce if you're Tennessee, and he made one off the bounce. Two in orange will get a touch. Middle part of the floor, let him make a play.
All the way to the rack and a foul called. A chance for a 3-point play for Grant Williams.
It's almost automatic with under 4 to go in a close game for Tennessee. It's all about players. Here's what I'm talking about with Ryan. Make him make a shot off the bounce. He may have slid his foot actually and got away with a travel at the end. But Rick Barnes says, this is my guy. Put him in the middle of the floor. Take away help. Keep shooters with gravity ability around him and let him go one-on-one.
Grant Williams has 28 points. He is 14 of 14 from the free throw line. 15 of 15 from the free throw line. There is no junior in Division I who has made or taken more free throws than Grant Williams. Over 30% of his points this season have come from the free throw stripe, and tonight 15 of his 29 from the line.
His voice is loud in the huddle right now, and his play has been loud on the floor, trying to will Tennessee right now to a road win with a #1 ranking beside their name. His ability to spin with quickness, going to his right and back to his left, and the jab series by this kid, 15 feet and in, is really terrific. And then again, in the middle part of the floor, Rick Barnes just trusts this guy to make a play. He closed out Florida with a middle of the floor pass, and right now he's driving the ball, and those are big boy baskets. You look at Grant Williams, Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, Ja Morant. To me, those are the 4 guys right now that should be right there in every conversation for National Player of the Year.
Think about Tennessee this season. They lost in overtime to Kansas. They beat #1 Gonzaga in that game. Williams fouled out. He had 16, 12, and 7 assists. Schofield ended up with 30 in that game. Bill Self of Kansas said after the Tennessee victory that they had in overtime, he didn't necessarily think that they would face another player as good as Grant Williams all season long. Remember, that game was in the beginning of the season.
Yep. Well, if you're Vanderbilt, you don't change anything. You change nothing that you're doing offensively. You stay with that double-up elbow series. You force Tennessee to react with their switching defense right now. If you're Tennessee and you continue to switch 1 through 5, you better come together. If not, you will give up a backdoor wide-open layup with this lifted Vanderbilt offense.
Lee's got 17, Neesmith 21, Ryan 12, and contributions from a lot of players. Shittu with foul trouble on the floor with 8.
Here it is. The first guy backdoor cuts. The second guy will wrap the ball into a dribble handoff. Well defended that time by Tennessee.
Comfort zone for them. 8 seconds on the shot clock. They've made a lot of them. The little step through, the dish, the dunk! Brown with a flush.
What a split by Saban Lee. What looked like a pretty tight double team on the ball. Just a little bit of an opening.
Bowden on the curl. He misses. Rebound Vanderbilt.
Rivalry game within the state on the road. What happens with 1:38 to go?
They're going to get a foul on the floor on Lamonte Turner.
Have you watched Saban Lee? He comes off this on-ball action, and it's not a tight toe-to-toe double-up, hard heads in the middle of the floor. Grant Williams leaves just enough room for Saban to slip through it, and they talked about it last night in their film session. They said that Saban Lee is terrific at splitting ball screen coverage.
69% free throw shooter. The first one is Nylon. 75-70 Vanderbilt. 92 seconds to play. Schofield's been off all night and misses another one. Williams down hard, and he may be hurt. He's in some serious pain. You can see the grimace. Remember last year, midway through the season, he hurt his back. It impacted the way he played in Tennessee the rest of the season.
There's it's the hook and hold play is what they're going to be looking at, and boy, Grant just couldn't catch himself at all. There's the hook, what they're looking at by 15 in white, correct? And the hard fall.
Do you see anything here? I see a arm underneath. It didn't look like it was a hook.
Well, that's what they're going to be seeing. Does 15 go under the arm of Grant Williams and hooking? Such a hard call for officials to make, and Pat Adams and Terry Oglesby right now taking a look at it. Only 2 officials can be at the monitor at the same time, and then they rotate out of it. Keep one official on the floor to keep an eye on the team huddles.
You could almost feel the building shake when Williams, who did nothing to support himself on that fall, hit the ground.
Ravi, normally these plays, it's the guy that came underneath that ultimately gets the call to go against them from what we've seen so far since back in November when we've had the hook and hold emphasis in the game. They have 4 different looks at it through DV Sport that they can look at. And actually 4 at the same time to give them different angles.
And the hook and hold for the viewer at home has to do when there are 2 players battling and their arms ultimately lock. A lot of times recently it's led to significant injury, so it's become a point of emphasis for the officials in college basketball to avoid that underarm hook and then you hold or pull. You can see their arms are locked.
Initially, I see the hook by 15 and White. I don't see the hold as they go up in the air for the ball. This is a hard one to call. And this is a veteran crew that they've looked at it now for a good 90 seconds. And just how do they interpret that action?
Cleavon Brown 15 and Grant Williams had their arms hooked. Terry Oglesby, after discussing it with his fellow officials, going to explain it to the official score, and then he will come over here and explain the call to Jimmy Dykes.
Yeah, it's upgraded to an F1.
So they did call a flagrant 1 on Cleavon Brown.
A hook and hold on 15 and White. Upgraded to an F1, a huge call. It goes in the favor of the #1 team on the road, down 6 with 1:22 to go. The free throws in the ball.
But I think the question was their intent, because players going for the rebound oftentimes have their arms get tangled.
Yeah.
Was their intent by Brown to hook? And as you said, you didn't see a hold.
I did not, but again, officials, they can't judge intent. They can't go down that path. I was at the officiating clinic back in October, and J.D. Collins was very clear about call what you see.
Yep.
It's not about intent, what you thought the player was intending to do. In the eyes of the officials, it was a hook and a hold, and Grant Williams now still perfect from the free throw line.
16 of 16. So they will get the ball back and have a 4-point deficit. Williams is tied a season high with 31 points. A huge part of that ball game. You go right back to Williams.
I look for a lob right off the bat for Williams, right around the rim. Very well done. They are so good on baseline out of bounds under. They don't get in a rush. The out of bounds guy takes his time. And you just stack 4 guys in a line and say, Williams, you're the one guy going to the rim. Everybody else throw traffic at him.
Loose ball, steal. Bowden to the rack. Misses. Rebound Vanderbilt. And an unnecessary turnover. Saban Lee got going too quick.
Where was he going, Ravi? He got a 2-point lead. He's been so good in this game. I understand he felt like that he had numbers, but you have to understand time, score, and momentum. And man, that's one that that clock right now moving is the most important thing for Vanderbilt. If you have a guaranteed 2-on-1 layup, but the ball just exploded out of Saban Lee going too fast. I'll tell you again, Grant Williams and Orange are going to get a touch on this possession.
Instead, it's Schofield. He throws it up, and it rolls in to tie the game with 38 seconds to go.
Just playing smash mouth basketball as Tennessee around the rim right now with 2 mismatched guys. Bryce will probably call timeout. His elbow series has been really good to him. So he's going to bring his guys over and get with his coaches and talk about, if they're tracking it, where are we scoring right now off this elbow high series? Is it the dribble handoff action? Is it isolating and letting our guy go one-on-one? You come out of that timeout right now if you're Bryce Drew with 2 or 3 options. He's telling his guys, I told you we could do it. He fed him confidence the entire first half. Now they're in a tie ball game with 32 to go.
So Saban Lee, after the Tennessee turnover, watch his head. He felt like he was going to set up a lob. He had it go off of his foot, and his frustration was obvious. Then they went to Schofield, and he ultimately got it and basically threw it up to the rim. And it rolled in.
Schofield's guy actually went to double team Grant Williams too early and left Grant Williams wide open at the logo. That's the respect and the gravity ability to attract defenders to you that Grant Williams has in that Tennessee offense.
For Schofield, only his second made field goal of the night. He's 2 of 9 from the floor. Williams has been the star with 33 points. First time all season, Tennessee has the number 1 next to its name. And the hook and hold led to 2 free throws, an inbounds play, and a 6-0 run. The deflection, Lamonte Turner nearly had the steal.
Or if you switch off now, if you're Tennessee and you're still switching 1 through 5, and Saban Lee gets the switch, you know he's going to attack.
7-second shot and game clock differential.
Here comes going to be a sprint out ball screen to see if Tennessee switches. Okay, they've got what they want. Saban Lee guarded by a forward.
Blocked at the rim. Here comes Bone ahead to Bowden. Blocked at the rim. What a play. Neesmith blocks it. Now a turnover. Williams smartly calls timeout with 2 seconds to go. A couple of bad turnovers late by Vanderbilt will allow Tennessee a chance to win it with 2 seconds to go.
What a series. Vanderbilt gets exactly what they want. They get the switch out on Saban Lee, and Admiral Schofield comes over and says, not on our watch. And then the run down from behind. Rick Barnes was calling for contact on Bowden. It didn't happen. And the effort and the play behind ability by Neesmith up top. Boy, Grant Schofield. Huge defensive play late against Alabama by Grant Williams. And that's all ball by Neesmith up top. He got it before that ball got on the glass. And the throw ahead, Grant Williams gets it and calls timeout. They have a side out of bounds play now opportunity.
How many players call a timeout there versus just trying to take it and get a shot off?
Only guys that had offers to Ivy League schools out of high school, like Grant Williams. So you look at the clock right now, and every 10th of a second is critical. I'm sure Pat and those guys will come to make sure, is it 2.0, is it 2.1, 2.2? But from where the ball is going to be inbounds, Ravi, you want to try to get a direct throw to the block area and at least get yourself maybe to the free throw line.
And they're checking the clock now. By the way, that block on the Vanderbilt shot was made by Grant Williams, the 7th block of the game for Tennessee. And once again, Terry Oglesby down on one knee to look at the replay to see where that clock will be set.
It's critical. Is it 2? Is it 2-0? Is it 2-3? Is it 2-5? They felt like they lost a little time when the timeout was granted. That's what you're looking for right now. Not when Grant called, but when it was granted. And boy, that could be a big difference of, does a shot get off or does it not get off?
Think about the last 45 seconds for Vanderbilt. Saban Lee with that turnover. After the block, the long outlet pass picked off by Grant Williams.
Look at that, the game clock stuck.
It started, it then stopped. It looked like that initial pass was deflected, which would start that clock. So that's really what they're looking at to see where the clock will ultimately be put. But the clock started, then it stopped.
It could be as much as a full second that they put back on this. Going back to that deflection when the game clock started. And then pause for, I don't know, half a second for a second. That's a huge catch by this officiating crew.
Once again, setting the game 76-76. Vanderbilt out of timeouts. Tennessee, 1 left. They are number 1 in the country for the first time all season. That, of course, came out this week. Last time they were the number 1 team in the country, it lasted about 48 hours. They came to Vanderbilt in 2008 against a team that was ranked 14th, and they lost to Vanderbilt. In a game like this, you got the number 1 team unbeaten in conference against a Vanderbilt team that starts the season 0-5 in conference. And I get all the road game stuff, but boy, have they been clutch with their last end of shot clock makes.
And where does Rick Barnes want to go with this ball? I mean, the ball is going to be somewhere out here, I don't know, within 5 or 6 feet of the timeline. What you don't want to do, Ravi, is throw that ball straight across that timeline and bring into play a tip, a steal, and a dunk at the buzzer by Vanderbilt. I want this ball, if I'm Tennessee, going towards their basket. At worst, you're going to overtime. It's 76 all. But can you run a play to isolate Grant Williams on the block? That's what I try to do. Can you throw it directly to Grant Williams at the mid-post or the elbow area down and give him 2 seconds to operate with?
Yeah, I think they're going to put 3.3 on the game clock, so that is a significant difference between 2 seconds. You're adding 1.3. Watch what happens on the inbounds play as it's deflected by Turner. Start, stops. And they deduced that there was 1.3 that was not run off.
That's the guy right there. Does Rick Barnes have some type of action to get him with a direct, isolated pass to that low block, mid-post or elbow area, and with 3 seconds, he's got time to go to work. It's not so much about plays right now, it's about players. When you get the ball to your best dude, and 2 in orange is your best dude.
Williams, shot blocked. Rebound, no, and we'll go to overtime. Grant Williams, who elevates as well as anybody, getting an earful from his coach Rick Barnes as the shot was blocked.
I think Grant settled. I know he did. He caught that thing and with a shot fake and just drive that basketball. And we talked about how difficult it is to block this kid's shot. But a terrific job to be the second guy off the floor. And Grant Williams right here, he's got a chance for a ball fake and drive it, try to get a foul drawn, and he settles for a contested shot.
Cleavon Brown, the third block of the game for Vanderbilt. And overtime will be when this one is decided.
I would have liked for Grant Williams to get that thing closer to the elbow and down lower. Then let his big body take over. What a job by Vanderbilt to send this thing into overtime. When you consider, like I said, all afternoon, you had to have some question marks. They're 0-5 coming in.
Yep.
They've lost 5 in a row. The belief right now, can we really take down the #1 team? It started yesterday in their film session. I was in there with them, and Bryce was convincing them, we've had our best 2 or 3 days of practice. We are ripe right now to take down Tennessee tomorrow night.
So Rick Barnes mentioned that he gave an earful to Grant Williams. Watch what happens right after that shot is blocked. Is he suggesting that Schofield, he was waiting for a pass?
It looked like it was, yeah. The defense, again, all eyes on Grant Williams. He had time to make a pass. I don't know where Schofield was, but boy, that's that tough, hard coaching that Rick Barnes puts on his guys daily. They accept it. They don't roll their eyes. They don't shrink from the moment. They say, yes, sir, and they move on.
Tennessee has been in some tight games in spite of the fact their average margin of victory in SEC games is over 20. The recent Alabama game in which you saw, they won 71-68.
Vanderbilt now gets a timeout to use in the 5-minute overtime period. Tennessee has 2. Boy, right now, if you're Vanderbilt, you're talking about offensively, this is what they can't guard. And you just send that message to your guys. They can't guard us in this building right now. Stay with our stuff. Stay with our elbow series. Drive them, save them. Use your speed. If you have open threes, knock them down. Shatu driving from the elbows. If you're Tennessee and Rick Barnes, you're talking about toughness and making sure we get the ball back in the paint around the rim on our offensive end.
With the 5 minutes on the clock for overtime, again, Shittu and Brown each with 4 fouls for Vanderbilt. Schofield, 4 fouls for Tennessee.
Yeah, a 5th foul on Shittu would be a big deal in this game because he has been a handful. No matter who they've had on him, Shittu has had the ability to drive the ball, spin, and make plays for a 6'10" kid.
Tell you who's watching this game closely, Kentucky, who will obviously have Kansas this weekend, but they come here next week to take on Vanderbilt. anybody that thought that a game against Vanderbilt, because they're 0-5, would be easy on the road, forget about it.
Yep. Well, the opening tip is critical in overtime because the number of possessions you have to play with can count on probably both hands. This is a big play right here. I'm telling you, just start the overtime.
Neesmith falls, but his pass is long enough to allow Lee to get it. Shittu hangs, fires it high off the backboard, and not a good shot.
No, took an off-balance shot going to his left. Grant Williams, when he trails the play like that, he's the play caller. He's the quarterback that sees the action in front of him.
He's got it. He gets it to go, and he gets a foul.
Ravi, he started the possession. Grant Williams did, trailing the play. And Rick Barnes gives him 4 or 5 play calls a game to use as that transition trailer. And what he wanted was the ball off of a Lamonte Turner wrap of the screen. Well, that's a hard call to go against Vanderbilt on their home floor. This kid, again, perfect, right? From the free throw line tonight still.
Hasn't missed one. He has taken 18 of them. Big set here for Vanderbilt. Got to come away with some points. Three-point shooter. In and out. Williams, another rebound. They had a good shot from Matt Ryan, but the friendly home rims didn't take it.
Boy, Tennessee got lucky. They did not chase and trail or caboose the best shooter that Vanderbilt has on the floor. Wide open three that did everything but go down. Watch the jab series by Williams.
Fade away. Grant Williams can't get it to go. That ball is going to go to Vanderbilt. Looked like it had tipped off the hands of Shittu. That's the look on Alexander's face.
They can't come to the monitor, though, till under 2 to go. That's off Vanderbilt. Is that not off the left paw of Shittu? Play on.
Lee, his speed's been a big factor in this game in the second half.
This offense is a headache to guard.
Shittu in the lane for 3. Instead, they kick for 3. Another one in and out. Williams flies to save it. Tennessee's got it. They throw to Alexander, and he loses it. Ryan's taken 2 threes, missed them both. Now Neesmith launches. Tie game! Aaron Neesmith hits a 3.
11 years ago, it was Shane Foster jumping up and making shots against Tennessee. Tonight, it's been this kid.
Williams has 36 points. On the floor, foul.
Boy, a heavy dose of ISO basketball for Grant Williams on that right block. He's catching it, he's going to work, not only off of the face-up game, but the back-to-the-basket spin, and there's Neesmith. Shooting like he belongs in the Neesmith Hall of Fame one of these days.
I like what you did there. And he shoots it over Kyle Alexander.
He is a terrific player, a terrific human being, high character, works his butt off, and he has come up big against the #1 team tonight.
Cleavon Brown will come out of the game. It was his foul. It was his 5th. He gets a good ovation from the crowd. And now back to the line, Grant Williams. If he sinks these 2, he will be 20 of 20.
That has to be the best performance from the free throw line all year long in college ball.
For sure.
I mean, the best you could do is tie it, right?
20 for 20 and a career-high 38 points for Grant Williams with 2:20 to go. 81-79, #1 Tennessee over Vanderbilt. Chitu continues to get trapped with that ball. Lee gets it down low. He throws it up off the window, and we're tied again.
Good job by Chitu to roll to the rim off the ball screen of Saban Lee, and Saban Lee with a nice back dribble to give him space to feed the post.
Bone. Too strong. Rebound. Vanderbilt ball.
That's just not the shot that Rick Barnes wants. I mean, it wasn't under 5 to go, and that ball should have kept moving and make Vanderbilt work a little bit. We'll talk about Saban Lee. See the little bit of a back dribble right there, Ravi, just to give him enough space and enough time for Chitu to show his numbers to the passer. And I believe that went off of Bowden's left paw at the end of that play. And we're under 2 minutes, so they can look at it again in overtime to make sure.
It certainly looked like it on that replay that it did hit off the hand of Bowden.
Yep.
Prior to that, Bryce Drew was looking for a call on the Chitu layup, which would have perhaps led to a three-point play. Bryce Drew has been an inspirational leader throughout the course of this game. Remember, this game was 15-2 when it started, and he has kept his team in it. Here's his last speech.
Let's win this thing, all right? Let's win this thing. If it takes 45 minutes, it takes 45. We have believed. Let's go. All right? Let's go. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let's shock the world.
Familiar refrain, college basketball shocked the world. This would border on shocking. A Vanderbilt team that came in winless in conference against the #1 team that has played like a #1 team all season long and seemed to be getting better as the season wore on. There was little indication you'd end up with a game 81-81 in overtime between these two teams, regardless home or road.
Very little. It started yesterday afternoon about 5 o'clock. I think I was in their film session with them talking about Vanderbilt. And Bryce was very simple, very clear in his presentation. This is how we have to play Tennessee. You have to believe we can do it. We're coming off of great practices. We've been close, and he has continued to feed his guys throughout this game. He's not talking X and O's as much in his huddle as Rick Barnes is. He's talking about belief and let's win this thing.
Right. It is Vanderbilt ball, 134. Just watch Bowden, who outjumped everybody, but his left hand right there at the end seemed to deflect off of his hand, which gives it to the Commodores.
Tennessee sets up with some full court pressure just to make Saban Lee work a little bit, bringing this thing up.
9 ties, 6 lead changes.
The double up horns, double up high action, the elbow series has been a steady dose from Vanderbilt in this ball game.
Lee trapped down low, nearly walked with it. Still 10 on the shot clock.
Get the ball to Saban Lee.
He's going to pull up. Too hard. Rebound tapped out, and it's Bowden. Minute to go. He takes it. Doesn't make it. Vanderbilt ball. Boy, Grant Williams down the other end never really made it down to the offensive side with 38 points.
At 2 possessions in a row, Grant Williams hasn't gotten a touch.
Lee in traffic. Oh, Williams nearly picked it, but we're going to have a foul and free throws. Grant Williams picks up his 3rd.
Saban Lee has been so slippery and shifty. Grant Williams wraps him around the waist first and then comes up. It's the right call. This kid's ability, talking about Saban Lee, to take the ball really anywhere he's wanted to take it. He has split double screens. He's operated off one-on-one. He's been very good off the high ball screen action. He's wrap screens himself.
70% free throw shooter, Jimmy. He is 6 of 9 tonight. Vandy has made 11 of 17 from the free throw line.
He's actually a scoring guard that has been forced to play the point guard spot with the injury to Darius Garland. You wouldn't know it tonight because he has handled that spot magically.
He went from point guard, and then Garland showed up to shooting guard.
Yep.
Garland gets hurt. He goes back to point guard. Missed the first. Makes the second. Williams camps out. Spin move, baseline. And the foul! His 40th point!
Are you kidding me, Carl Ravitch? That's what National Player of the Year do. The game is on the line. Everyone in the building know the ball is going to Grant Williams on the right block. He leans back, gets his body into you, and all Bryce Drew can do is drop his head and watch.
Wow. I think what is not said so far, and Williams flexing there, and you see that from a lot of college basketball players. Williams worked as hard as anybody, along with Admiral Schofield, to get their bodies into shape to deal with the rigors of the SEC. And now he's got 40 points and will go to the free throw line trying to make his 21st free throw. Let's go to the Sports Center studio here with 31 seconds to go. John and Steve. No, not good news at all for Victor Oladipo. Here, John and Steve, Tennessee 83, Vanderbilt 82. Grant Williams has 40 points tonight, boys and girls. He camps out in that low box, and it's over.
Again, no one feeds the post off the bounce better than the Tennessee Volunteers. They can pass it from all 5 spots. They can post it from 3 spots. And Grant Williams just goes to work. If you get your body on him on either shoulder, he's going to lean back, he's going to feel you, and he's going to spin off of you. That time there wasn't much contact for him to feel off of. It's more of an instinctive play. This kid right now came into the night number 15 in the nation, drawing almost 8 fouls per game.
Yeah.
He will be in the top 10 in the nation after this game tonight.
The last SEC player to win back-to-back Player of the Year awards was the big nasty Corliss Williamson. If in fact Grant Williams wins it this season and decides to come back for his senior year, the only 2 to ever win the SEC Player of the Year award 3 times, the great Bernard King and Pistol Pete Maravich. You got to believe the way he's playing, not just tonight, but this season, he's the odds-on favorite. It was he and Admiral Schofield in the conference for Player of the Year. This is a separator-type game.
Yeah, it is. This kid's stepping to the line, trying to give his team the lead by making his 21st free throw in a row in a high-pressure rivalry game. Number 1 is beside our name now. The target has grown bigger on our back, and so has the performance by Grant Williams.
21 of 21 and 41 points.
They have not touched the rim. It's pure.
The junior out of Charlotte, North Carolina, having the game of his life.
And you keep Saban Lee out of the paint.
Ball knocked out of bounds. We're going to get a foul. It looks like it's going to be on Lamonte Turner. Terry Oglesby goes over and talks with Terry Weimer to confirm it's on Oglesby. Williams only has 3 fouls, but you can see that the fans here and Bryce Drew leading the charge.
Well, Bryce Drew is making the argument that it was unnecessary contact on a player that had left his feet, maybe in a vulnerable position. And I don't know if Oglesby and Pat Adams and Terry Weimer saw it like that, and we'll look at it. To me, Lamonte Turner comes in. He gets all ball to start with there, and then he comes down on the arm. Grant Williams just comes over and jumps up with an illegal position inside the arc. And Bryce Drew's not going to win the argument.
Back to the free throw line, and obviously, given the time and the score, huge free throws for Saban Lee. First one too strong again.
A little bit of a hitch in there, wasn't there? It wasn't one smooth motion. He has been outstanding, Saban Lee, for 45 minutes in this game. And the free throw box off is critical right now. Critical. And the free throw miss go get by Vanderbilt, just as important if he can go do it.
One-point game. They're going to sub. Nope. Turner's not going to come into the game. Schofield's going to stay in. They just took him out prior to that free throw. And now I think Rick Barnes is going to call a timeout.
Yeah, he's got to get his right personnel in. And Tennessee with a 1-point lead, 21 seconds to go. Got to get the ball in cleanly. And if you do, I will ask you as my assistant coach, if you're Tennessee, who do you want the ball in the hands of?
The guy that's made 21 straight free throws?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a raise. That's the right call. Now can Tennessee get him the ball? Because you're going to have to probably make a second cut to get open in this thing right now. You're going to be careful this is not a push off if you're Tennessee trying to get yourself open. But Grant Williams will be the guy right now. Obviously, he's made 21 in a row. And he's feeling no pressure in this game.
41 points in the game for Grant Williams. Go back to the end of regulation where both teams really had chances to win this one. Williams made that layup. Schofield threw one up that rolled in, only his second bucket of the night. And then the big block by Neesmith with 6 seconds led to Vandy having it and turning it over. Grant Williams called the timeout. They added 1.3 seconds on the clock, and he settled for a three, which was blocked. And that got us to overtime. Rick Barnes wondering why Grant, who's been so good tonight, didn't get that ball to Schofield.
You know, Schofield was kind of covered up in that replay. I don't know if this play was designed for Schofield to come off a hard cut. Well, that's what you thought would happen. Grant Williams does a great job, Ravi. He had his back to the baseline, kind of decoying himself that he was going to be the screener, and just a quick hard cut like a wide receiver on a comeback action to get his numbers shown to the out of bounds guy. Can he go 23 out of 23 from the free throw line in this game?
Can't play defense on free throws, and it's interesting. If you look behind the basket he is shooting at, the predominant color is actually orange. So in so many college environments, it becomes such a difficult free throw shot. But here in Nashville, it's predominantly orange and white. So nobody's doing anything to distract the free throw shooter, Grant Williams.
I will point out that that one actually hit the rim. The first 21 in a row did not hit the rim.
He's made 22 straight. And another one that rattles home 23 for 23 from the free throw line. 43 points for Grant Williams. 3-point game.
Heels above the three if you're Tennessee right now. Good switch out by Grant Williams.
Tough shot from the corner. No foul called. Tennessee has it. And now we got some fisticuffs and elbows.
Ravi, this is going to be huge.
Bone seemed to throw an elbow
Yes.
on Aaron Neesmith, and this will certainly be looked at by the officials. Alante Turner gets involved as well. Grant Williams moving his team back to their bench. They try to get the ball to Matt Ryan for a three.
Tennessee was switching everything. And Grant Williams right there to force a tough one. That's not a foul. He's straight up. His elbows are at his ears. But right here at the end, I'm telling you, Jordan Bone put his team possibly in a really bad spot right now. The game is pretty much going to be over. As they come to this monitor, the call, it's going to be a dead ball. Could be a contact technical foul. There's an intentional foul by me of Neesmith to wrap him up. That was not a play on the ball. There's a lot right now for Terry Oglesby and Pat Adams and Terry Weimer to work through.
Now, Neesmith has been ejected from the game already. And that has to do probably with something he said. He's been thrown out of the game. That according to Pat Adams. And now once again, we've seen a lot of this in sports recently with the NFL playoffs and obviously this game, a lot of video reviews, but this one is huge.
Jordan Bone got the rebound. The whistle was called, and the game, percentage-wise, is going to be over. Tennessee's going to win the ball game. But then the jawing and the grabbing occurs, and Jordan Bone comes hard with the elbow. A lot to talk through.
So they're going to call a common foul on Neesmith, and then according to Terry Oglesby, After that, they just got tangled up, and there will be no extra calls other than the common foul, which will send Tennessee to the free throw line. Neesmith has apparently been ejected, at least according to what Pat Adams told us, and we'll have to see if that's in fact because he's still on the floor.
So they saw it as just a common foul on 24 White. And now
So Neesmith stays in the game. He was not thrown out.
that was a crazy scenario
Sure
that could have escalated, in my opinion, to a couple of F1s, and Jordan Bone closed this thing out from that free throw line.
Bone, an 85% free throw shooter. Huge first free throw, 4-point lead, 5.4 seconds to go.
How good has Tennessee been from the free throw line tonight? Not just Grant Williams, but overall.
They've been outstanding. Williams 23 of 23. The team has taken 32 and missed only 3 of them. There's the 3. That one misses, and Tennessee will survive and stay number 1, winning 88-83 over Vanderbilt in overtime. Another tremendous effort in vain for the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yeah, they did so many things so well tonight, did Vanderbilt. Their offense, still Tennessee's trying to figure it out. They chased it more than they guarded it. And a historical performance for Grant Williams in this building tonight.
He had 43 points. He made 23 of 23 from the free throw line. And the reigning SEC Co-Player of the Year has certainly stamped his name on that trophy again with this performance tonight. Tennessee's won 13 in a row. And they do it on the road in what was at times very friendly and other times a very hostile place to play. For Jimmy Dykes and our entire crew, including our producer, Scott Matthews, I'm Carl Ravitch. Hope you've enjoyed this one. The SEC is special again this year. Time now for SportsCenter.